Hello there. Welcome back to Shits and Giggles, where we stand on the phrasage, if Grandma had balls, she'd be Grandpa, and if Woody Woodpecker had wooden balls, he'd be in trouble. Let us suppose. In the 90s, early 90s, there was a ice skater, Nancy Kerrigan, Olympic medalist, and she had competition. Her name was Tanya Harding, and I think it was her ex-husband. There was a situation where they were competing for a spot, and the ex-husband had attacked her and attacked her legs, and ended up being arrested, and there were charges, and Tanya Harding lost her spot. But it was a serious event. So people, one, these people exist. Two, if we step back a bit and look at the whole story, the roots really lie in economic leverage. For someone like Tanya Harding that maybe did not have the advantages of, and this is not a justification, I'm just saying what would make someone like Tanya Harding, whether she pushed her ex-husband to do this or the ex-husband felt that he should do it for his ex-wife, whatever the story was. They were under an economic leverage, and they knew that the opportunity that Tanya would have got if she won would mean a new place in society. And this conversation isn't even about going into that story. It's just putting it on the table and saying that this aspect of the human condition exists. But think of that story in the early 90s to modern day society, right? Now suggest, say Tanya Harding was an IDF soldier, a woman soldier in the IDF, who comes from a background of genocide, right? And being a soldier, and maybe perhaps in cybersecurity, or maybe it's a whole platoon of women. And now they're coming to New York City. Say it's a whole platoon of women IDF soldiers. And they've spent a few years in service in the Gaza. And one of the principles they stand on, or they're really like a belief system, is preemptive action, right? And now I'm not judging these women. I'm just saying these are young women. They start out in their teens. Some of them actually meet their husbands in the IDF, in post where they were in the Gaza, and they were having checkpoints, and they were prison guards, really, or they were of an open air prison in the Gaza. It's part of the social expression and the part of the lifestyle in that area. So now, understanding that young women may be more excitable than men at times, and they're coming to a new country like the United States of America, and they have to make their way, right? But they see preemptive action as a means, as a way of life, right? And if they think that if they believe that making a livelihood is a matter of life and death, and that to make their way in, say, New York City, and anybody, is a matter of taking care of themselves and the livelihoods of their family, and anybody who will compete with that or get in the way of that is an imminent threat. Will they seek to use the cybersecurity or the means that they have of dual-use technologies to secure their families in a new nation? I'm not saying this is so, I'm just for shits and giggles. Think of just Nancy Kerrigan and Tanya Harding. That's just a younger woman who maybe didn't have all the advantages of the other, knowing that if she had her spot, that she would have the benefits of wealth or a new, maybe stratification or a new status of wealth in the United States of America. Is it possible that women from the IDF coming in doing cybersecurity with subcontractor jobs in New York City, right? If you're unaware, the Israeli 8200 is kind of like the NSA of Israel, and their alumni are handpicked to be the CEO of all the many of the cybersecurity companies in New York City. Like Black Cube is already a company that has been already called out. I think it was during the Weinstein case. There was a famous actress who was coming out and speaking out about being attacked by him, and she was targeted by, I believe it was Black Cube, Israeli 8200. And what they do is they target an individual to disrupt their lives because they wanted to discredit her, but also they didn't want her to be able to be, they wanted to try to make it seem crazy that she wasn't a viable witness. Her word could not be trusted. Disruption campaigns. So now, that's just showing you, putting it on the table, that they're already doing it in some fashions. But say there's a group of women in New York City, and here also I'll lean a little bit on Whitney Webb. She has an article where she's talking about they had a group of volunteers from the IDF that were going to do cybersecurity work for all the hospitals in the United States of America pro bono. Same kind of thing. Say it's not even just attacking, but say these women are from another nation, come to America, but need to make their way. Now, say the IDF volunteers have access to all the data of all these hospitals in the United States of America. There's not one or two that may get caught up and may seek to take advantage of that. Now, if you are unaware of the weaponization of neurosciences, right, I'm going to cut in some of Dr. Robert Duncan's lecture, the MIT lecture, Neuroscience and Neuroweapons and Targeted Americans.
Okay, I warned you. That was the good news. Now it's time to present the bad news, and I apologize if my tone becomes more dark, but these are the dark sides of neurotechnologies and what governments use them for. And we have quite a few decades advanced research on the civilian scientists for obvious reasons of national defense. But let me kind of set the mood by reading a professor of psychology or neuropsychiatry at Yale Medical School, and in the 1960s he did a lot of research that was quite unethical, but for the Cold War, for some reason, it was allowed, and it continues today. I may or may not tell you stories about my personal experiences of observing the capabilities of human suffering that is allowed for weapons development. But Dr. Jose Delgado is his name, and he was kind of considered the father of brain chips. The quote is, "We need a program of psychosurgery for political control of our society. The purpose is physical control of the mind. Everyone who deviates from the given norm can be surgically mutilated. The individual may think that the most important reality is his own existence, but this is only his personal point of view. This lacks historical perspective. Man does not have the right to develop his own mind. This kind of liberal orientation has great appeal we must electronically control the brain. Some days, armies and generals will be controlled electronically by stimulation of the brain. Wow. And that was in 1974. I'm horrified, I hope you are too, that a man of his stature would make such claims.
Because Dr. Robert Duncan was an inventor of these technologies. And you'll see they could actually kidnap a human being. It's a different type of kidnapping. It's by capturing their neurological capabilities, their cognitive ability. You may have never heard of this, but it's very scary, right? Again, think of Nancy Kerrigan and Tanya Harding. These two young women who, they were already a part of a great, something like the Olympics. So we're talking about the human condition and people seeking to take advantage in a competitive state. But say, what I'm saying is, like, in Israel, preemptive action is seen as a mode of offense. Now, if they're in the United States of America and they see that their competition is a type of imminent threat, will they seek to act out in these ways? Using these technologies? It's a suggestion. I'll put in I'll cut into Dr. James Giordano's lecture at West Point as well, The Brain, the Battlefield of the Future, where it tells the West Point cadets, you will encounter the weaponization of neuroscience in your personal lives and in your careers. They are valuable, viable, and in play now. He tells the cadets, you know these two acronyms, AAA and WMD squared.
You will encounter some form of neurocognitive science that has been weaponized not only in your military career, but in your personal and professional lives, irrespective of whether those two things coincide or not. So the idea of the brain as the battlescape is very important. And more importantly is this other acronym that's up there, which is WMD squared. Please get used to this, because this is going to be part of the idea of irregular warfare and ongoing military innovation in your careers. Weapons of mass destruction and disruption. Disruption and influence will be the key to creating peer capabilities and asymmetrical engagements. Let me say it again. It will be the key to creating peer capability in asymmetrical relations and engagements.
AAA meaning access, assess, and effect, the brain, and WMD squared, weapons of mass destruction and disruption. Think of the damage that can be done to an individual, and it's asymmetrical warfare. I'll cut in another piece as well, where Giordano makes it clear that this is about that it's peer-to-peer, that this technology has peer-to-peer capabilities, but asymmetrical targeting.
Weapons of mass destruction and disruption. Disruption and influence will be the key to creating peer capabilities in asymmetrical engagements. Let me say it again. It will be the key to creating peer capability in asymmetrical relations and engagements.
So they could target an individual in a community. Think about the Gaza, what they've done there, right? So if they target someone in the United States of America, they could target someone in the community asymmetrically. They have all of the data points, all of the data from the hospitals. You go into an MRI in a hospital, they have all of the electromagnetic signatures of your heart, your brain. There's suggestions that they're even forcing people into the hospitals to get their MRIs. This is happening. But the suggestion is, for shits and giggles, what if there is a bunch of young women from the IDF that come to the United States of America and, think times are tough, and they live on the principles of preemptive action. And if there's going to be some competition against them and their family, right, will they take these actions like Tanya Harding's husband did? Will they use their access to the data and their access to their military and intelligence relations with neuroweapons, satellites, the infrastructure that's around us with beamforming, every panel that has access to 2,300 watts of electricity can be used as a weapon. Would they use those on asymmetrically on a human being that may be competition to them and their family? Just a suggestion. I'm not saying it's happening. I mean, I know it is, but as for a supposition, do you think these people would be poor players and take advantage of those opportunities to benefit themselves? Just a suggestion. For shits and giggles.